back, folks. We're tracking a new trial here at Court TV. In Detroit, Michigan, Michael Jackson-Bolanos is the defendant in the Synagogue leader murder trial. He could face life in prison for the stabbing death of Jewish community leader Samantha Woll. Now, prosecutors say Woll was brutally stabbed to death in her own home in October of 2023. Now, Jackson-Bolanos admits to being in the area at the time of Woll's murder, but says he had nothing to do with it. Scripps News Detroit has a look at opening statements in the trial.
There is a reason that we lock our doors at night when we go to sleep. It is because of people who lurk in the night, people who could do us harm.
She was stabbed 8 times. In the neck, in the back of the head, in the back of the neck. To me, that would indicate a crime of passion. This wasn't just some random person walking into her house trying to steal anything.
Opening statements of the Samantha Woll murder trial brought with it a more detailed account of what happened to the beloved Jewish community leader in the early morning hours of October 21st, when she was murdered at her home in the Lafayette neighborhood of Detroit.
At her home, at a place where she was supposed to be safe, she was stabbed to death. And the evidence in this case is going to show you that the man who did this to her is this man right here, the defendant, Michael Jackson-Bolanos.
The prosecution painting a picture of the defendant Michael Jackson-Bolanos prowling through Detroit the night of Woll's murder that allegedly shows Bolanos breaking into people's cars. The prosecution said the footage puts Bolanos in Woll's neighborhood the night of her murder. They said data from Woll's home security system shows that when she allegedly went to bed around 1 a.m., the security system shows no activity. That's until around 4:20, when they say Bolanos walked into her unlocked home and stabbed her 8 times to death. The prosecution says cell phone data also puts Bolanos in Woll's home that night of her murder. And their most key piece of evidence, when Bolanos was arrested, his girlfriend's apartment was searched, and inside the apartment, investigators say they found the same black North Face jacket that he's seen wearing the night of her murder on video camera, and a backpack. Both were tested by a forensic lab, and spots of blood were found on them that were, quote, astronomically likely to be Samantha Woll's blood.
They found that it was 2.2 trillion times more likely to be her DNA in that blood.
She was beaten up. She had contusions on her face. She had bruises on her face. She struggled. Whoever this was, she struggled with them, and this particular situation took time. This wasn't a situation that took 1 minute to do. It was evidence that there was a struggle in multiple rooms.
The defense referenced photos of Woll's apartment, saying it's clear that there was a struggle and a great deal of blood. They asked, why would Bolanos brutally murder a stranger and steal nothing? The defense also brought forth video of Bolanos walking through Greektown minutes after the prosecution's projected time of the murder. He's seen walking towards people. The defense asks that if there was that much blood at the murder scene, wouldn't Bolanos be covered in it? Why would he be walking towards people instead of hiding? And how would it be possible he could be doing so just minutes after the murder?
He's indicating like, hey, if I did what they said I did with all this blood, I'd have been covered in blood.
All right, let's bring in our guests for this hour. Here with me to discuss, criminal defense attorneys and former prosecutors Al Wunsch and Franz Borghardt is with us as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon on the show. Franz, let me begin with you and get your thoughts on this case. This is, you know what, it's interesting. You look at this from one perspective, it's an open and shut case. But you look at it from another perspective, from the defense's perspective, there's clearly room for doubt. Your thoughts?
So the doubt exists in some of the almost argumentative taglines from the opening statement from the defense counsel, and they're not bad, right? Look, the defense has a problem in this case. There's strong circumstantial evidence that points the finger at this defendant. But still, these questions posed, where's all the blood? Why wouldn't anybody have seen that? You know, why wouldn't anybody have noticed that? This is an individual that is presumably seen doing car burglaries. You know, this is, you know, crimes of opportunity, car burglaries don't generally translate into brutal murders where nothing is taken. So, I mean, there is some argument there, Michael. I don't know how strong the argument is, but there is a defense to be put forward. And whether or not a jury buys it or not remains to be seen. But, you know, that strong DNA evidence is going to be the hard thing to overcome.
Yeah, and Al, the other hard thing to overcome is that, you know, there's no doubt that this guy was out there looking to commit crimes. He did lie to police. Blood was found on his jacket. But the question remains, you know, it was a very small amount of blood. Ultimately, he gets on the stand, decides to tell the truth. We'll show that a little bit later. But your thoughts on that aspect of the case? It's very difficult when you represent someone who is actually out committing crimes and then is committed, charged with committing another crime. Although I will posit this, and I want you to answer this question. Generally, in my experience, guys who are these petty crime guys who are out sort of stealing from cars and stealing cars, etc., tend not to be the violent type that will go in and do this type of crime. There is sort of this split between the two, although there is overlap at times as well. Your thoughts?
Well, there's definitely, I mean, I have never seen anyone who's a petty thief who goes breaking into cars and things along those lines, then take that step up to, aggravated assault and murder. I mean, generally, they're not even carrying weapons other than burglary tools for the purposes of trying to get into a car, get into a house or whatever. B&E is not going to automatically translate to murder. I mean, they want to get in, they want to get something quick, and they want to get out real quick. So, I mean, I don't see that it goes to that. I mean, this is really like a Grisham novel that's going on here. It's very, very similar to like a situation where the guy's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And yeah, okay, he was there because he was breaking into cars, but that doesn't mean he ended up murdering this woman. And the fact that there's very minimal blood on him, the fact that he's not hiding from the situation, the guy had to take the stand too. So, I mean, I think that, kudos to his attorney for putting him on there, because I think they have to see this is not a guy who would do this kind of thing. Look, I've done bad things. I've never done anything like that.
Absolutely. And
it's not a bad defense.
He had a little bit of an explanation as to why he lied to police as well. And it's interesting you mentioned John Grisham. I'm watching Presumed Innocent right now. There's a show now on Apple. And it's kind of the same thing where all the evidence seems to point in one direction, but some of it, just enough of it, is there to create a reasonable doubt. It's kind of similar to this situation.